The seven lampstands in the book of Revelation hold a truth far deeper than most people realize. They're not just historical references or mystical imagery meant for scholars and theologians. They're spiritual realities, mirrors that reflect something powerful, something within you. Every lampstand is a representation of divine purpose, inner clarity, and awakened identity. You are not some random creation tossed into a chaotic world. You were designed with precision, with order, with power. And just like those lampstands, you were meant to stand, not fall, shine, not fade, lead, not follow. The darkness we often face in life, emotional darkness, mental confusion, financial struggle, spiritual emptiness, is not there to defeat you. It's there so your light can be seen. You are not here to escape the darkness. You are here to illuminate it. That's what the lampstand and represents: positioned light, not wandering light, not hidden light. Positioned, rooted, standing strong even in the middle of the storm, even when the world trembles and things fall apart, that lampstand, and doesn't move, and neither should you. Your circumstances don't define your identity. Your setbacks don't cancel your assignment. If anything, your trials reveal how much light you still have inside. The lampstands were golden. That wasn't just for decoration. Gold represents value. It represents purity. It represents something that's been through fire and came out unbreakable. Gold can't be corrupted. It doesn't rust. That's you. The real you isn't fragile. The real you doesn't quit. The real you can't be tarnished by the opinions of people or the weight of the world. Just like gold, you've been refined. Every challenge, every heartache, every mistake has been melting away the dross to reveal something eternal. The more pressure life applies, the more your gold shines. That's why the seven lampstands weren't made of wood or clay. They were made of gold. Your spirit, your purpose, your potential is golden. Now think about where those lampstands were placed. Not in hidden corners, not in closets. They were placed where they could be seen. Your life is not meant to be tucked away. Your voice is not meant to be silenced. Your dreams are not meant to be dismissed. There's a reason you feel that pull to something greater. There's a reason you can't settle for average. It's because you were born to shine. But here's the key: lampstands don't generate light on their own. They carry it. They support it, they hold it up, the oil, the flame, that comes from the Spirit. But the lampstand, that's your mindset. That's your willingness to carry the fire even when it burns, to keep standing even when you're tired, to keep shining when others around you have dimmed. Too many people are waiting for permission to become what they already are. They're waiting for a sign, a confirmation, a miracle, when the truth is, the miracle is them. When you understand that your identity is not tied to what you've been through, but to what you've been created for, you break free. You start living from a place of power instead of panic. You start making decisions based on vision instead of fear. And you stop dimming your light just to make others feel comfortable in their darkness. The seven lampstands also represent fullness, completeness. 7 is the number of divine perfection. This means you don't need to add anything artificial to become who you were meant to be. You already have what it takes. It's not about becoming something new. It's about revealing what's already there. The world may try to convince you that you're not enough, but the Word says you're already more than a conqueror, the lampstand, and doesn't strive to be gold. It just is. You don't need to hustle for worth. You are worthy. You don't need to earn your identity. You have won. It's about recognizing that and standing in it with unshakable confidence. Now understand this: light doesn't compete with darkness. It overcomes it. You're not in a war of equal opposites. Darkness is simply the absence of light, and that means all it takes is one person, one lampstand, to shift the atmosphere, one voice to speak truth. One mind to align with purpose, one heart to burn with vision. That's how transformation happens. It's not through masses, it's through moments, one lampst, and in one room can change everything. One soul, fully awakened, can alter the trajectory of a family, a community, a generation. You don't need a crowd to shine, you just need courage. This is why your positioning matters. You were placed in your life on purpose. Your location, your family, your struggles, they are not random. You're the lampst, and placed in a specific part of the world to illuminate that territory. You carry light that someone else needs, and the moment you decide to stand, fully, boldly, unapologetically, you become the answer to someone else's prayer, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Willing to rise, willing to burn, willing to be seen. The 7 lampstands remind us that victory doesn't come from noise. It comes from presence, from being rooted, from standing firm in identity, in purpose, in destiny. You don't have to chase power. You already carry it. You don't have to beg for breakthroughs. You are the breakthrough. And the more you realize this, the brighter you shine. The brighter you shine, the more the darkness retreats. And when the darkness retreats, everything changes, because wherever light stands, darkness cannot rule. ChatGPT said, "Revelation is not just a dramatic unveiling of the future. It is a deep and living document filled with metaphors, symbols, and insights that speak directly to the soul." Most people look at it with fear, misunderstanding, or confusion, thinking only of tribulations, beasts, and end-time destruction. But Revelation is not meant to paralyze you. It is designed to empower you. It is not a mystery meant to be feared. It's a code meant to be unlocked, not with intellect, but with identity. The very word revelation means unveiling, something hidden being revealed, and what's being revealed isn't just the future, it's you. It's who you really are beneath the layers of doubt, fear, defeat, and conditioning. It's the unveiling of a victorious life. When you begin to read Revelation as a personal blueprint instead of just an apocalyptic narrative, everything changes. The 7 letters to the 7 churches aren't just letters to ancient congregations. They are messages to your inner being. Each church represents a dimension of human nature, your spiritual maturity, your faith, your integrity, your perseverance, your love, your discipline, your hunger for truth. Each message is a divine mirror reflecting where you are and calling you into who you were created to be. These aren't religious ideas. They are personal principles. The word speaks to the heart and exposes what has been hidden, not to condemn, but to awaken. The call is always the same. Return to your first love, overcome, rise higher. You see, Revelation isn't about chaos. It's about clarity. It's not about fear, it's about focus. It paints a picture of war not to frighten you, but to remind you that you are more than a conqueror. The battles it describes are real, but they aren't just external. They're internal. The beast isn't just a creature in the world. It's a mindset. It's fear, pride, greed, addiction, distraction. The dragon isn't just a mythic force in the heavens. It's the constant whisper of unworthiness, doubt, and spiritual compromise. But here's the key. Every war shown in Revelation ends with victory, not defeat. That's not just a theological point. It's a life principle. You may be in a battle, but you've already been given the tools to win. The sword, the armor, the seal, they're all metaphors for mindset, clarity, purpose, and the indwelling power that lives in you. So many people wait for an outside change to validate an inner shift. They say, when the world gets better, then I'll rise. When the storm passes, then I'll shine. But Revelation flips that. It shows us that in the midst of the storm, victory begins. The lion doesn't roar after the war is over. He roars in the middle of it. The scrolls don't open after peace comes. They open during chaos. That's a lesson. You don't wait for things to be perfect to live in power. You step into your destiny in the middle of the unknown. You claim your victory in the midst of the battle. The messages to the 7 churches each end with a promise. To him who overcomes. That phrase is repeated over and over again. Why? Because overcoming isn't a suggestion. It's a destiny. You weren't created to survive. You were created to overcome, to rise above what's trying to limit you, to break free of what's trying to define you, to live not from fear, but from faith. But overcoming doesn't happen automatically. It requires awareness. It requires action. It requires alignment with who you truly are. When you start to align your life with the principles hidden in Revelation, you no longer walk through life randomly. You become intentional. You see that the lampstands, the seals, the scrolls, the trumpets, these are all metaphors for moments in your life where deeper truths are revealed. Moments when your understanding expands, when your identity shifts, when your spiritual eyes open. Every trial you go through, every delay you endure, every valley you walk through, it's all part of the unveiling, not of doom, but of destiny. That's why the book begins with the phrase, the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is not just about knowing who he is. It's about knowing who you are in him. When you realize that, everything changes, your fears shrink, your mind sharpens, your decisions become bold. You no longer wait for permission to rise, you rise. You no longer wait for signs to believe, you believe. That's the real victory. When your internal world shifts so deeply that nothing external can shake it. Revelation gives you a map. It tells you there will be struggles, but it also tells you that the throne is occupied, that there's a plan, that the Lamb wins, that the overcomer reigns, not just in eternity, but in the now. This is why Revelation is so personal. It's not just a scroll of prophecy, it's a call to courage, a call to presence, a call to identity. When you realize this, you begin to see that the beasts you face today, your doubts, your losses, your fears, are not permanent, they're passing, and every single one of them bows before truth. The real battle isn't fought on battlefields. It's fought in the mind. It's fought in your decisions, in how you respond to pressure, in how you choose to speak over your life when everything looks like it's falling apart. And this is what Revelation trains you for. It's a guide to resilience. It teaches you how to stand when others fall, how to see through the smoke and realize there's still a plan, still a promise, still a purpose. When you internalize the lessons hidden within Revelation, you start living like a visionary instead of a victim. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop retreating and start advancing. You understand that what's coming against you is not stronger than what's already inside you. The one who walks among the lampstands walks with you. The same voice that calls to the churches calls to you. Hold fast, do not fear. I know your works. I know your strength. To him who overcomes. The secrets of victory are not hidden in some distant mountaintop or locked behind religious systems. They are encoded in your identity, carved in your spirit, and waiting to be awakened. Every time you look at the lampstands in Revelation, you're looking at a reflection of who you were always meant to be, anchored, illuminated, and unstoppable. But victory doesn't come just because you want it. Desire alone is not enough. You must understand the mechanics behind overcoming. It begins with identity. Until you know who you are, you will be tossed by every wind, shaken by every circumstance, and defined by every external voice. Identity is the foundation. When you understand that you are not a byproduct of your past, your trauma, or your upbringing, but rather the carrier of divine potential, something within you shifts. You begin to walk differently. You begin to speak with authority. You begin to expect good things, not because life is easy, but because you've remembered that greatness is your default. The lampstands were golden, not because they earned their worth, but because gold was always their nature. In the same way, victory is not something you chase. It's something you activate through awareness. You don't need to add more to become victorious. You need to strip away the lies, the fear, the doubt, and reveal what has been buried. The world tries to convince you that success is out there tied to achievements, titles, validation, but revelation teaches that the throne of victory is already established within. Discipline is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. Without discipline, your vision fades. Without discipline, your identity weakens. It's not about rules and restrictions. It's about alignment. It's about training your thoughts to agree with your truth instead of your fear. Discipline is how you protect your identity. It's how you guard your mind against distractions, your time against waste, and your destiny against delay. The overcomers mentioned in Revelation didn't just get lucky. They were resolute. They endured. They refused to give up when things got hard. They were willing to be refined, willing to be tested, willing to walk through fire to emerge shining brighter. Victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet obedience. Sometimes it's standing firm when quitting looks easier. You must discipline your mouth to speak only what aligns with victory. You must train your emotions to follow your spirit, not your fears. You must discipline your habits to reflect your future, not your past. That's how strongholds are broken. That's how generational patterns are rewritten. That's how cycles are ended, not by hoping, but by choosing. Daily, consistently, intentionally, victory is a process, not a moment. And the ones who win are not always the fastest, but the most faithful. Revelation is filled with symbols, scrolls, seals, trumpets, bowls, but each of them represents movement, transformation, unveiling. The process of victory is progressive. It doesn't all unfold at once. The seals aren't broken in one day. The scroll isn't read all at once. Just like your life, the story of your triumph is being written one layer at a time. Sometimes, before you walk in external victory, you must first conquer internal chaos. The war between fear and faith, insecurity and confidence, guilt and grace, that is the real battle. But the secret is this: the war has already been won. The Lamb has overcome. The throne is occupied. That means you're not fighting for victory. You're fighting from it. The moment you see yourself as seated in authority, everything beneath you loses its power over you. You no longer fear delay because you know time serves you. You no longer fear rejection because your worth is not dependent on other people's perception. You no longer shrink to fit places that were never built for your light. You walk boldly. You speak clearly. You move intentionally. Why? Because revelation has shifted your posture. You are not small. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are chosen, positioned, prepared. True revelation destroys victimhood. It reveals the power that's always been in your hands. It opens your eyes to see that you are not waiting on a move of God. You are the move, the lampst, and isn't trying to be light. It holds the light. You don't need to strive for glory. You carry it. That understanding sets you apart. It makes you immune to the opinions of people, to the limitations of systems, to the fear that once controlled you. You don't fear the beast. You rise above it. You don't run from darkness. You light it up, and when you live like that, others notice. Not because you're trying to impress, but because light cannot be ignored. Your presence becomes a reminder that victory is possible, that purpose is real, that truth is alive, and that's what the world needs. Not more noise, not more fear, not more confusion, but awakened individuals who know who they are, who refuse to bow, and who carry fire in their bones. That is the secret of the overcomer, not perfection, but persistence, not avoidance of battle, but courage in the midst of it. Every time Revelation speaks of those who overcome, there is a reward, not because you're being bribed, but because victory naturally produces overflow. Authority, vision, impact. You were not created to wander. You were created to govern, not to survive, but to thrive. The throne that is mentioned again and again in Revelation is a symbol of rulership, and rulership begins with self. Master your mind, govern your emotions, rule your atmosphere. That's how you prepare for the external victories, by first conquering the inner world. The secrets of victory are simple but powerful. Know who you are. Train your mind to agree with truth and keep moving forward, no matter what. You may fall, but you get back up. You may cry, but you keep going. You may not have all the answers, but you walk by revelation. You live by insight, not impulse. You live by alignment, not approval. And in doing so, you not only overcome, you become the example, the proof that the word works, the evidence that light still triumphs over darkness, the embodiment of a life that cannot be shaken.